but is also an attack against humanity when we understand that the global elites are taking power of the entire financial system, the global researchers, and they're going to use blockchain technology. And let me add something about the Genius Act. So that's actually going to force and guarantee that stablecoins like real stablecoin and USDC are going to be fully backed by bonds, treasuries, and perhaps in the future, gold can have perhaps a return to the Bretton Woods system integrating blockchain technology. I think that's very relevant, and I love how he brought that to the discussion. I think you did a video on that, Nathan, about gold-backed stablecoins and digital assets a couple of days ago. What are the two main companies in the United States that have issued stablecoins? Well, one is Circle. The second one is Ripple. So we have the two main stablecoins there for the future, USDC and real stablecoin. Considering that Ripple is planning to acquire Circle, you can start to connect the dots and understand what's about to happen next. The dollar is going to be physically transferred into stablecoins. It's going to be some sort of a reset for the dollar. So I don't think the dollar is going to be disappearing, but the whole structure of how the dollar works is going to give more control to the government. So they're going to gain control over every single digital transaction. That was the main purpose of blockchain technology. It's a sophisticated database, and they sold it to the public with Bitcoin as being search of freedom, but it's actually quite the opposite. Bitcoin was always the Trojan horse, some sort of test net where they gain control over every single transaction in the planet. And most importantly about the Genius Act is that that's getting rid of tether.
But first of all, if you look at Bitcoin, all the price action that you see there, it looks impressive on the surface. But when you really begin to research behind the mechanism, what keeps it going, it's deeply flawed, and that's artificially inflated. And you can easily trace this back to tether minting and recycling capital. So it's not organic market demand, what you see Bitcoin's prices. We now know Bitcoin just hit $112,000. And anything that comes in the future, you have to ask, is this real capital or is it synthetic liquidity? Because, if you look at the latter, then you would say those inflows can easily unwind just as fast as they can inflate it, right? So that's why I don't think Bitcoin is still a reliable foundation for a global financial reset or any networks. It's being set up to fail. It's just a matter of when is that going to happen. I don't know if you guys saw the article about the new quantum computer. They're saying that, I think Nathan, you need to do something on this, all right? It's this new quantum computer that could potentially hack Bitcoin, and the narrative is already being put out there. So it's just interesting, but at the same time, I've studied the revolving door between Tether, the US bond market, and the artificially inflated Bitcoin price. And I can guarantee you I'm onto something there. Essentially, the BRICS nations are offsetting the bonds. They're selling their bonds, and somebody has to buy whatever someone's selling. And that's why the Federal Reserve, even last week at the bond sale that did terrible, they got involved. They did not share this publicly, but essentially they're having to prop it up by themselves. And what they're doing is just buying time for the inevitable catalyst where a real collapse is going to happen. And then when you tie this into the whole stablecoin thing, that's the bigger story, in my opinion. What's really unfolding behind the scenes, and something we've talked about on this podcast so many times, is the Bank for International Settlements. I call them the BS, the bullshit. They are the central banks who reclassified gold as a tier 1 asset class. They did not inform the public. They did not make headline news. And this is because it's nefariousness. They're trying to keep it quiet so they can forerun you on it, right? They don't want you to have access to it. So what it really does is it changes the landscape of where this is all going. And since the reclassification of gold, hence to your video, Nathan, is central banks have been buying gold at record levels. And this buildup indicates that they're going to integrate gold back into the monetary system. And that's why you have the discussion of a gold reevaluation. And then on top of that, for those who say Trump is bringing in a golden age, let's be realistic about this. President Trump actually holds the executive authority to revalue the gold price. This is exactly what they did in 1933 when they revalued the gold price and confiscated gold under President Roosevelt, which essentially reset America's monetary system. So this could easily happen again. And we just have to ask ourselves the honest question and even speculate. I think speculation is healthy because it becomes too late then. What if they do reset the gold price, right? And then you start to follow what the Treasury Department is doing with RLUSD. If you listen to Judy Shelton and the Trump administration and Scott Bessent talking about realigning the Bretton Woods moment, bringing gold back into the infrastructure, then that means the US Treasury can be tokenize the debt, and they could back the Treasury with gold. And with a reevaluation, that's how you create that hybridized system that stabilizes the currency and maintains the liquidity needed to finance the government. So essentially, you're solving a lot of the issues there, but that could be your level playing field. So it's just not far-fetched when you start to cross-reference the research. You know what I mean?